So there's actually two more questions in this framework, but usually I only spend 5% of them, 5% of my time on them, because once you know where your projects are, pretty much you can leverage your team's help to figure out what the capability you need and what management system you need. So here I will go through much more quickly. I will spend the same amount of time as I usually do myself, like Wish basically just on one hand, right? Because they are solving this browsing use case, they need a rapid A/B testing system. That's not that hard to understand and optimize their shopping funnel. They need to build the logistics system, merchant policy. They also need very effective machine learning algorithm because browsing is basically a recommendation problem, and marketing is also machine learning problems. So they need to build that. And they also partnerships with all the social media influencers and bloggers because social media is the channel they market to people. So they want people, their potential user also see sort of mentioning of Wish from those channels. And then they also figure out a deal to like how to do shipping really cheaply with small packages. On the Instagram side, since user experience is such an essential part of their value prop, then they focus a lot on simple and aesthetically appealing UI. The aesthetically appealing is because that's important for the community that is creative, right? So if you want to attract all the photographers, you better make the UI look really beautiful rather than like Wish. I don't think that will attract a lot of designers. And then remember the sharing need to be easy. So they need to figure out how to integrate with existing social medias and make the app really fast, not just perception as well. They need to have really excellent mobile performance. And then influencers and their fans is another part, like they need to figure out how to manage, how to attract. Those are assets they need. And then lastly, I actually think acquired by Facebook is one of the strategy. It's not just that they need the money. Then remember there's one part that I mentioned earlier. They need to figure out how to do growth, how to do monetization. And the founding team didn't have that experience. So thanks to Facebook, just like YouTube need to thank Google, they got the most help to solve the most needed part that they don't have experience for. And by joining Facebook, it really set Instagram to this like huge platform to grow really phenomenally to today. And then SpaceX, remember talk about the cost need to go down 100x. So obviously they have to do this like first principle calculation, but meanwhile, they make a very important decision in terms of what kind of rockets they're developing. They make rockets reusable. And that is a very bold call and very hard project to do, but that's crucial for them to bring down the cost in like 2 orders of magnitude lower. And they also have to make the launching service much more efficient, because that also bring down a lot of those like, non-scalable fixed cost. And then they also designed this automated satellite manufacturing system that can reduce the cost also of scale communications. And then because their future clients will be agents or institutions, private or public, that need space delivery. So they need to develop partnership with NASA and other agencies. And lastly, very importantly, in the beginning, they need tons of funds, because this is a vision that not a few $1 million can address. They need tons of a lot more money, than a normal startup. And in the last piece, think about this, like with all the capability, all the projects and strategy now you have in mind, you also need to have a good management system. And this management system includes 2 parts. One is what kind of talents, what kind of leadership management system you are thinking about. So on the people side. On the other side, also about what kind of metric system then you can measure, the success. And then their potential depends on your business. You may need other types of system in place. So here, I just gave you a continued example. For Wish, really importantly, they need to have people on the ground in China, right? Like if your suppliers are there, you need people there. It's a very natural decision. And since you have to do machine learning, so they hire a lot of machine learning experts. And then, I mentioned the influencer bloggers partnership. But lastly, very importantly, for their metric system, it's all about unit economic, because it's about cost. If the cost is not down, the price is not down, then the value prop will break. And Instagram, it's a very different choice in terms of talent they attract, since they're building this aesthetically pleasing, simple UI system for the creative community. So they need to attract PMs and designers that understand those aesthetic needs. and a very good product framework, coming back to this framework. So PMs and designers in Instagram, I don't know about today, but at least when I was there, was super important for the company because that's one of the driving force of the company's growth. And then they need to have really great talent developing great mobile app. And I mentioned the community management team and leaders from Facebook to help them figure out the growth and ads problem. And they also have a very special metrics because they really care about the community love. So they track their community sentiment really well, plus all the usual product metrics. And then for SpaceX, cost management system obviously is a very crucial part of it. And they also need to hire teams who can solve problems with first principles. So you can notice that is a different choice compared to the previous two companies, right? They don't really need like teams that solve problems with first principles. It's a different set of skills SpaceX is looking for. And then obviously, because they are doing something so innovative, if I use Elon Musk's own words, he's trying to do Silicon Valley operating system DNA applied to the problem of space transport. So this is like, to me, most important part of your roadmap is figuring out this whole journey from beginning to the end. And once you fill all those blocks, everything else can sort of go around it. That's the foundation of your roadmap.